Hello and welcome to At Home with LMP. Today it's Sofa Sunday and I am totally thrilled to be joined by one of the world's most famous violinists. She is an inspiration to so many young people. She's an incredible pioneer and advocate for the arts. And as I say, I'm just utterly delighted she's prepared to give me half an hour of her time in her incredibly busy schedule. So welcome, Nicola Benedetti.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
So first of all, how are you?
So the last few months have been, of course, extremely strange with having so many concerts cancelled in a flash. It's an unusual circumstance to be in, but within a few weeks after seeing what a lot of people were doing online, we determined that we would try to put on a virtual version of our workshops for my foundation, and it ended up being one of the busiest periods ever in some ways, because we were doing something that we had never done before. We were trying to do it in a timely manner. We had a lot of deadlines and a lot of unknowns, so things that we expected would take such and such an amount of time ended up taking a lot longer, and just the redoing of many recordings and the layering of parts of trying to play together during this time. Obviously it's posing a completely new challenges especially for classical musicians. I think there are other musicians that are used to recording with headphones on, or recording in booths, or recording in isolation, but we're obviously not used to doing that at all. So and then on top of that, the number of people that signed up for our workshop way surpassed our expectations, and the whole experience just became one of a little bit cat and mouse. Like we were trying to do our best for so many different people, and then they would feed back to us the things that they were perhaps looking for. Then we would kind of scramble to make that possible too. And but I have to say, in general, just the fact of being that close and that connected to people from all over the world was one of the strangest sensations. You expect a time in quarantine to create distance, and actually it created so much closeness for us.
It sounds like the most incredible project. How many participants were there?
So there were around 7,000 participants from 66 countries around the world, and we balanced our communication with them between closed participation, which of course was largely due to the use of the platform Zoom, that you can only have so many participants on there, but we're also extremely cautious of child protection and child safety. So separating out what ended up being a very large category actually of adult learners that joined our workshop, separating them out from all of the young participants when it came to the Zoom classes. It was. We also used Facebook Live daily. We also used our YouTube platform. My YouTube channel was overrun by the foundation for the last month, and I think we released something like 350 videos within a period of 3 weeks. So it was a huge amount of content. Of course, not even a fraction of those were put out by me. We had a team of about 20 tutors and 20 ambassadors. So in terms of the output, it was a fairly large team of people delivering substance and tuition for people all over the world.
Well, Nicky, it sounds amazing. And from what I understand, it was all available free of charge. Is that right? How did you raise the money for it?
So yes, we decided to make it free of charge, but with a suggested donation. I think for us it would have been difficult to charge for something that was an unknown in many ways. There were certain things that we weren't sure how they would work, especially when it comes to the use of technology. Things can cut out and go wrong, and we just felt a little bit awkward and uncomfortable charging for something that had so many variables to it. But actually, what it proved to us is that if you are gifting people with something that they are looking for and that they feel they need and they want, even during a pandemic and when economies all over the world are being crushed, and people's personal finances are under pressure, and the same goes for the vast majority of businesses. If you provide that thing that people really are looking for, people are generous. So we managed to raise enough money to be able to continue growing the vision throughout the 3-week period, and to being able to afford quite a, I would say, quite a spectacle for our last concert, which was at the end of the 3 weeks. But that concert also took several members of our extended and kind of our grown staff, our staff that grew in numbers during the workshop. It allowed us to do something, something that surpassed our imagination, but it did require many of them to not sleep for that last week. So we'll be forever grateful to them for all of their unbelievable conscientiousness and care and commitment, way above and beyond their job description or the call of duty.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, young people obviously are the future. And I think it's wonderful how you seem to see that in such a major way. And so I'm just curious, if we just go back a bit to your roots and your childhood, can you remember the first concert you ever went to, out of interest?
Actually, we weren't really a concert going household. I actually think the first concert I went to see was Vanessa May, and I was maybe 8 or 9. I think my dad took me to that concert. And then I think we went to see Anna Sophie Mutter also when before I went to Yehudi Menuhin School. But I sometimes think of like the things that we didn't do. We didn't go to museums or go to concerts, but and it's easy, especially when you're in your formative years, late teens and early 20s, to think of the things that you missed out. But actually, I now see it as like the vast majority of the UK, for example, doesn't go to classical concerts, doesn't necessarily even go to museums, and I think it's sometimes dangerous to assume things that are normal to you are normal to everyone, and I think it's always given me a little bit of an insight into the other perspective of what we do, and our relevance to those who don't grow up going to concerts. So yeah, there's a relatability there that I appreciate.
So just out of interest, what is your next project? Because obviously you've been completely consumed by these virtual sessions. So what's next for you? And especially in this bizarre situation where we don't know, what's going ahead and what's not. Have you got a recording project on the horizon, or what's next for you?
I actually am not 100% sure what my next move is. I know that I'm aware that I have not been doing live performances. I certainly didn't, the minute lockdown started, begin recording a different Bach movement every day and share it with everyone. I've actually done very little playing that's on my own that I've shared with anybody, and there'll be a moment where that's adjusted and that changes, and I'm starting to perform more. But I have all sorts of plans really that I'm just concocting at the moment. But right now my focus is what is it possible for me to contribute to the pretty terrifying plight of so many orchestras and concert halls and performing arts venues in the UK. I mean, that's the case for many countries, but the UK in particular has been left in a frightening, precarious state, more so than many countries in Europe, probably more, has more in common with the United States. So I think anyone who has any sort of a platform or voice has a responsibility, and I'm having conversations all day long with so many different people about what we can do and how quickly we can do it, and just trying to make the right moves, not asking for too much or too little from the right people. But then, of course, there's my own personal development. I have a little bit of an issue with trying with doing things that are not shared in a way. Like I don't. I think it's easy to sometimes see the things that you do for other people as somehow heroic or like altruistic, but I don't always see it that way. Like I actually see the people who work on things and develop things behind closed doors without sharing them with anyone. I'm very impressed by that always. It's something I'm perhaps less good at. Although of course I've always practiced a lot in my life, but I'm almost always preparing for a concert. So I think for the things that I know I need to develop in myself, physical strength or certain things to do with my playing or research or development of whatever. I think I'll have to work out a way to make that a collective journey. Speaking very selfishly, like for me to improve, I have to make it something that's available for everyone. So we'll see where that goes. But right now, I think the attention of myself and of so many other performers and musicians is for the health of our industry as a whole, because it's frightening times.
I feel I want to ask you about what it was like when you learnt Wynton Marsalis's concerto, because I know there was a documentary and everything, and it was fascinating. Is it fiendishly difficult as a piece to play?
So Wynton's Violin Concerto is extremely difficult and took literally years for me to become comfortable with. And I think the biggest challenge was stepping into another level of freedom. Freedom is, being free is very scary, and especially if you grow up in a certain type of with a certain type of cautiousness that I think both me and my sister did. My mum was always painfully aware of everything that was around us and made us aware of everything that was around us, which is, I think, a great quality, in many ways a great quality for a mother to try to instill. But we then, I think, are really aware and conscious of everything that surrounds us, and have to be in a state of absorbing all of that before really doing things our way. Like, this is what I want to do. So the process of learning and subsequently performing this concerto so many times has meant that I'm forced to, and eventually comfortable with, stepping into a kind of freedom that I otherwise wouldn't be.
And I would imagine it's not as easy to sort of pull out of the bag at, say, short notice as some concertos might be. Am I right that, if I asked you to play the Brook next month, you probably wouldn't think twice? But if I asked you to play Wynton's piece, would you say, I need more than a month? I'm just curious.
Well, actually, I could play that concerto next week if I had to, but that's the beauty of having performed it so many times, which is a wonderful thing for a concerto that's so new, to have it performed so much and will continue to be performed a lot in the next couple of years.
And what about recording the Elgar? Am I right that that's coming out? Is that coming out soon, or it's already out? Tell me about that.
It's already out.
Already
Yes.
out. And
Yes.
that's with LPO and Urowski?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a pretty massive piece to have recorded, isn't it? Was that a big project? Was that an exciting project?
Yeah, the Elgar Violin Concerto is just one of the heaviest pieces I've ever played. You feel like you're just weighed down the whole time with emotion and stickiness and that uncertainty and ebb and flow of the piece. And it was interesting recording that and then recording the 3 short pieces. I did Chanson de Nuit, Salut d'amour, and Sospiri. Sospiri is also very sticky, but the other 2 are so light and kind of like they look up in a certain way. And but you know, it's just a privilege to be able to perform, record, get to know, become intimate with music of that level.
I can't wait to listen to that because I'm sure it will really suit your sound. Fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
So what about, I mean, this is kind of a slightly stupid question. You can tell me, we can edit it out. There have been many highlights in your career, I'm quite sure, but is there a particular concert that stands out, or a particular project that you really remember as being remarkable? Or are they all special in their own way in you know, when they're current?
I think during this time, the number of concerts that you have done, you have strange moments of reflection. I find I have strange moments of reflection with those concerts, like depending on how I'm feeling, actually. You know, if I'm feeling particularly confident or free, I'll remember those moments, and if I'm feeling the opposite, I remember those too. But I think it's quite an overwhelming feeling to not be playing, not be touring, to look back on all of those years of just walking out on stage and sharing that much music with that many people. It's quite an overwhelming thing to reflect upon. So that's been interesting recently.
I totally hear what you're saying, and I think what a lot of musicians are struggling with at the moment is this concept of virtual concerts with no audience. You know, that's a whole different thing, isn't it? Because without an audience, you don't have that rapport, you don't have that atmosphere. It's not the same thing. And even if thousands of people then watch it on their computer screens, it's not the same as a live audience. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the difference is enormous. We are so used to the energetic force that comes from being surrounded by individuals that are strangers, people that you don't know. It took me a long time to actually, well, when I say it took me a long time, it has taken me a long time in general, but not, I think I got a bit of a head start with this this period of time where things are having to be done through a screen. Through my experience with the educational series that I did with Nicky. We started that the last January, and we put out like 15 different videos over the year. And actually the ones that we released was my third attempt at that series. So I had recorded it before, like one really casual one really formal one. It took me ages to get comfortable with the fact that behind that screen, behind here, it's just people that are wanting to know something and wanting to be taught something. So that it's a process I think everybody has to go through, or some are refusing to go through, just don't want to go through. I was talking to the singer, the soprano Karen Cargill, and she was saying that without people in front of her, she just didn't have the desire to sing at all, and how frightening that was. But as of a couple of days ago, she did sing for us all and put it online, which was so moving and so beautiful.
Now, the thing is that I can't take up too much more of your time because I know how busy you are. So I want to sort of close by firstly asking you if sort of what your hopes and dreams are after this pandemic's over, whether that's musically or for the state of the world or the state of America or whatever, or if there's anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to talk about, then sort of now's the moment, because I just don't want to take up too much of your time.
I think my hopes and dreams for now is that we're able to burst out of this kind of firefighting state and able to actually be creative. There's nothing good about this period, innately good about it, but there are always positive consequences of anything negative. And I think that we as an industry, you know, we've been doing things in the way that we do them for such a long time that there's always a chance for renewal in the best sense, and always a chance for a rejuvenation and a questioning of the worth of what we've chosen to do in the way that we've chosen to do it. So I hope in the immediate future or the near future that we're all able to reconnect with the true creativity and that there'll be an emergence of something different, and perhaps something's greater.
They're lovely thoughts. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Nicky. Thank you so much for your time, and I know that there'll be so many people so thrilled to listen to your very detailed thoughts, and you're such an intelligent musician, and you do so much for young people, and I really think that is something to be truly celebrated. So thank you, and I hope it won't be too long before we meet up on the concert platform again.
I hope so. Thank you so much, Ruth. It's been lovely to chat to you.
Thank you, Nicky. Bye.
Bye.